Hello listeners and welcome to Boomerang. This week it is Team 4 bringing you the news taken with permission from the West Lothian Courier, published on Thursday, 31st of October 2024. And our readers today are Jackie, who has kindly prepared the paper for this recording, Kate, Joan, Margaret and Joyce. Harry is our recorder and copier, and Joan and Margaret will organise the distribution of the wallets later. A busy day for those ladies. Alison is on holiday, which is why Joan and Margaret are helping out with the reading. Many thanks for them. As usual, there will be 4 parts. Part 1 will be general news. Part 2 will include family announcements. Part 3 will include the quiz. And in Part 4, there will be some sports news, as well as the answers to the quiz, and items from the West Lothian Council Bulletin will also be included. Can I remind you that when you have finished listening to the recording, put the memory stick back into the blue wallet, turn the address label over and post it back to us here in Whitburn from a post box. Please do not send it from a post office. So, let's get started with the lead story this week and Kate.
300 new village homes. Plan is approved despite objections. Cautious Welcome for Development by Stuart Somerville. Councillors have been given a cautious welcome to plans for more than 300 new homes on the edge of Bents and Stonyburn, which they initially rejected. The proposal to build on open fields off Cannock Crescent at the western end of Bents and Stonyburn have been knocked back by West Lothian Development Management Committee in mid-2022. The new, detailed plans for the housing had been met with 20 objections, but councillors accepted that the developers had proposals for the 44-acre site which would finance and spur on projects such as the cycle path to Falthouse, from what locals called an island village because of its lack of footpaths to other communities. Objectors have cited lack of amenities in the village, few shops, and the nearest medical facilities being 3 miles west in Falthouse. They were also concerned about increased traffic on the narrow roads as well as overdevelopment of the village and the potential construction noise. An appeal to the Scottish Government saw that 2022 objections overturned in January last year. Keep Moat Homes present detailed proposals for 330 new homes on the site to this month's meeting at the DMC. Tony Irvin, a senior planning officer with the council, told the DMC that a wide range of houses were planned as part of the development, including a significant proportion of affordable homes. 33 affordable homes for social rent and a further 43 for shared ownership. Mr. Irvin told councillors, overall, it is considered that an attractive residential environment will be achieved. David Howell, a planning consultant for the developers, told the meeting that a significant amount of time and effort has been spent working with the councillors' planners to develop an attractive extension to Bents and Stonyburn. He said that the new housing would provide a range of styles including bungalows, and many would be starter homes. Local councillor Pauline Clark told the meeting that she was pleased at the mix of tenure, but urged the developers to look again at the proposals for a retail unit on the northern fringe of the site, which sits in the plan of adjacent existing homes. She asked if the unit could be moved further west. Planning officers said that this could be delegated a design tweak, and Mr. Howell said the consultants would accept such a change if it was conditioned. Mr. Howell said that the development would contribute to future plans for cycle links onwards to Falthouse, and added that he believed the new homes had the potential to attract further investment to a community which had missed out in recent years. It would bring, he added, an exciting new chapter for Bents and Stonyburn. Councillor Clark said, All things considered, I would be happy to support this. She added, back in the day, I don't think the committee at that time were happy to support this as it was building in the countryside. I certainly think that there are other opportunities for building in Stonyburn, but we are past that now, and we have been presented with what I think is a pretty good proposed development. The planning tweak I would like to see in there. I think the good-sized gardens have been a good consideration, and I hope that stays. Fellow SNP councillor Willie Boyle said he was pleased with the detail of the development and added, I know there was a lot of objection against this development, and I can understand a lot of the thinking behind it. But the principle I've held for a number of years is I think the development in our smaller settlements in West Lothian off the footprint of the M8 corridor actually brings vitality and viability to a lot of these small settlement areas. I know a lot of people that have originated from this area that have moved from this area because they couldn't get houses in the area, and I think that concentration along the M8 corridor is doing no favours to the smaller settlements scattered around West Lothian. I hope that Bents will come to see the benefits of this development, because I'm hoping that this development, as it matures, will draw additional services like doctors, surgeries and other things to the area and help with the viability and vitality of the place.
Now, the next heading on the front page is Graduation Celebration. Students from West Lothian College celebrated in style at this year's graduation. The ceremony, held on Saturday, October the 26th, on the college's campus in Livingston, celebrated more than 200 students receiving their higher national certificates or diplomas, HNCs, HNDs, after completing courses in subjects like accounting, business, childhood practice, healthcare, computing, engineering, science, sport and art. Other students studied part-time there while working, achieved HNCs and Scottish vocational qualifications in areas such as care, engineering and business, and qualifications accredited by professional bodies like the Institute of Leadership and Management. After the ceremony, students and their guests enjoyed entertainment from the Scottish bagpipe rock band Drums and Roses while toasting their fantastic achievements. Now, the Courier has done these students proud because there's 8 pages of pictures, and I counted all the pictures, and there's 46 pictures. And they are showing all the happy students, every student, big smile. They're there in their gowns, they're holding their certificates. Some are with their mums and dads, some are with their families, and just enjoying the moment and enjoying all their hard work. And they've now got what they've achieved. I really can't tell you just how happy these students must be. And there's also a lovely picture, which I must mention, of the band of Drums and Roses. And there they are, drumming away. They're in their purple and white kilts, black T-shirts, and they're standing in the quadrant. And it's a beautiful day, blue sky, the trees, just the autumn colours. A fabulous day for these students.
Is headed Vital Volunteer Jordan receives special award. Outstanding at the Roots work recognised. A West Lothian volunteer has been honoured for her outstanding work helping young people in the community. Jordan Dunlop, who has been volunteering at the West Lothian-based At the Root Arts CIC for over 2 years, receives a very well-deserved award from the Centre, Livingston. The Volunteer Award, which has been running for many years, was designed to reward and recognise the great work by people in the local area who give up their own time to help others and present them with a personalised framed certificate and £100 gift card to treat themselves. Following a heartfelt nomination from her friend Dot, which really stood out for the management team at the shopping centre, Jordan was invited into the shopping centre to meet the team and receive the award. At the Root Arts CIC, which was set up by Matthew Swan in 2015, is a creative arts organisation committed to working in the grassroots of communities to provide high-quality, engaging and meaningful weekly workshops, projects and events. The aim is to create spaces for young people to grow in confidence, nurture their talent and to fully be themselves. These include weekly drama workshops running across West Lothian, as well as different projects including Creative Beans and Sprouts, Eco-Craft Warriors and lots more. For more information, check out the website www.attheRootsArts.org. Jordan's role at the club is to help assist children and young people participating in the activities and events. She has also taken on leadership responsibilities by carrying out the registers and leading games and activities, whilst always providing a high quality of customer service and being very well known to the parents and children within the groups. Jordan said, "I'm extremely grateful to At the Roots for taking me on. I think that volunteering is a three-way thing. The organisation receives much needed help, the community benefits from this, and the volunteer has the opportunity to learn new skills." At the Root is a fantastic organisation with values that are very important for the children and also for me. Receiving this volunteer award has given me a real boost. Big thank you to the Centre Livingston. Dot said, "Jordan, who has cerebral palsy, is unfortunately unable to work, even part-time. She neither has the strength or the capacity to work a full day, but she has never been one to sit back and do nothing. Before COVID, she started volunteering at a nursery and then a local playgroup. After the pandemic, Jordan started looking for something nearer to home and found At the Root Arts, which enabled her to encourage young children to take part in music, dance, drama and art classes, which she's always loved. She really enjoys seeing the children grow in confidence, and it's clear to see she's also grown in confidence too. I am delighted that the Centre Livingston has recognised her in this way. She's definitely worthy of it." Matthew said, "Jordan plays an instrumental role within At the Roots Arts. She's very friendly and familiar face to all of our participants and families, and always provides such excellent support and assistance to everyone who takes part in our programmes and workshops. It has been wonderful to see Jordan grow in confidence during her time with us and develop her leadership skills too. She's even led her own workshop for children. At the Root Arts places value on volunteers. It's about taking the time to enable them grow, develop and flourish. Jordan has given so much time to our project, and we're so glad that she's being recognised by the Centre Livingston as a volunteer hero." Patrick Roberts, Centre Director at the Centre Livingston, said, "We are delighted to be able to present Jordan with her volunteer award certificate and a £100 gift card to treat herself. It was lovely to welcome her and Dot into the shopping centre and hear firsthand about the organisation At the Roots Arts and the fantastic work she has been doing with the children who attend the classes, workshops and events. She's definitely very deserving of the award. If you know anyone who deserves recognition and a special reward for the great volunteer work they are doing in the community, please send your nominations to inquiries@thecentrelivingston.com." And there's a lovely photograph of Jordan holding her new certificate and being handed her reward.
This article is by Stuart Somerville and it's entitled "Public Told to Stay Safe on Bonfire Night." Members of the public are being urged to take steps to ensure their safety this bonfire season. Councillors were given a rundown of preparations by the Council and emergency services ahead of next week. And as firefighters prepare for an upsurge in call-outs, police have warned that those who attack the emergency services will face harsh punishment. The West Lothian Community Safety Partnership, which includes the Council, the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, SFRS, and Police Scotland is working with support and assistance from voluntary organisations and members of the public to promote safety and responsibility this year, and also reminding communities what they can do should they encounter suspicious activity. If you encounter unregistered bonfires that are already alight, please contact the SFRS on 999. Illegal or other suspicious activity can be reported to Police Scotland by calling 101 or alternatively contact Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Area Commander Ross Robinson, SFRS Local Senior Officer for Falkirk and West Lothian, said, "Bonfire night is one of the busiest times of the year for our crews. Scotland's fire and rescue crews attend up to 4 times more incidents than usual on November the 5th. Valuable time and resources can be wasted attending unsafe bonfires." Last night, in the weeks leading up to Bonfire Night, from October the 14th through to November the 7th, crews attended more than 600 deliberate fires across Scotland, including bonfires, bin fires and grass fires. The safest way to enjoy Bonfire Night is at an organised event. If you do intend to use fireworks at home, ensure that you know how to use them safely and always follow the firework code. Fire and rescue crews will work with community partners to keep the public safe during the bonfire period. We have a zero-tolerance approach to deliberate fire setting, which can put properties and lives at risk, and any violence towards crews and community partners will absolutely not be tolerated. Inspector John Fleming, Deputy Local Area Commander for the Police in West Lothian, said, "Bonfire night and the days preceding and following are typically one of the busiest periods for officers in West Lothian, and we will have dedicated resources in place who will be on patrol throughout the region to offer reassurance to the public, deter criminal activity, and provide assistance to our community safety partners if required." Local officers will once again be supported by colleagues from national and specialist departments, and we are grateful for this additional resource to call upon. It is a criminal offence to buy fireworks for anyone under the age of 18, and if you do so, you could face £5,000 fine, 6 months imprisonment, or both. So please don't risk it. A new aggravator will also be added to charges brought against those who attack emergency service workers. We want everyone to enjoy Bonfire Night safely and responsibly, and while we are working alongside partners to do all we can to mitigate against fireworks-related disorder, we would also ask for parents and guardians to have frank conversations with young people in their care about the risks and consequences of getting involved in criminality involving fireworks. While they can be put in place thanks to new legislation, there will be no firework control zones in place for up and the coming 24 bonfire season in West Lothian. Craig Meek, the Executive Councillor for Community Safety, commented, "Discussions with West Lothian community safety partners concluded that there is no evidence to support a council-promoted control zone at this time." Speaking at a meeting of the Public and Community Safety Policy Development and Scrutiny Panel, Councillor Maria Macaulay said, "The work that goes in from all organisations is massive, not something that's done overnight. I would like to see some more community involvement to look at firework control zones. And there is a picture above this article of some fireworks lying on the grass.
MSP hails free bus pass stats by staff reporter. And there's a picture of Fiona Hislop, and against it says happy. And she's looking well delighted. MSP for the Linlithgow constituency, Fiona Hislop, has welcomed the news that over 3.6 million free bus pass journeys were made in West Lothian in 2023 to late 24. The Scottish Government has consistently projected bus passes for everyone over 60 and disabled people, while also extending the schemes to injured veterans and introducing free bus travel for the under 22s. Miss Hislop said, "I'm really pleased to see that over 3.6 million bus journeys have been made by bus pass holders across West Lothian this last year. This vital support from the Scottish Government provides a lifeline for many, allowing people to access essential services, employment and education. The positive impact of the bus pass provided by the Scottish Government cannot be underestimated. However, I do recognise that bus travel can present challenges. To tackle issues of route, frequency and services faced by bus users, local councillors have been given the powers required to either franchise, take services into public ownership, or develop new bus partnerships to improve local services. I am pleased to see the Scottish Government provide the essential support which is well used across my constituency."
We have now come to the end of Part 1, and in Part 2, family announcements will be included. Welcome to Part 2, and we will start with the family announcements, which are all death notices. Caleri, Irene, maiden name Berry, 26/3/1945, 11/10/2024. It is with great sadness we announce that Irene Caleri passed away peacefully at Wallside Nursing Home, Falkirk, after bravely living with Parkinson's disease and dementia. Born in Shotts, North Lanarkshire, Irene was the youngest of 11 children of Ellen, that is Nellie, and William, Pop, Berry. She is reunited now with her late siblings Mary, Bill, Margaret, Sissy, Helen, Tommy, Rosemary, Eddie and Maureen, and survived by her brother Pat. She was preceded in death by her husband, Wally, in 2001, and lovingly remembered by her children, Tony, Stephen and Jill, her daughters-in-law, Fiona and Vanya, and her grandchildren, Neve and Oscar. Irene had a wicked sense of humour, an unshakable belief in standing up for what was right, and a feisty spirit that left a mark on everyone who knew her. She will be dearly missed, but we know she's being welcomed with open arms and a dram in the big marble club in the sky. Rest in peace, Irene. Cameron, Nessa Williamson, formerly Haggerty. Suddenly, at her home in Cheltenham on the 10th of October 2024, Nessa Cameron, née Haggerty, aged 91 years, originally from Stonyburn. Funeral on Wednesday, 6th of November at 1 p.m. at Co-op Funeral Care, Beechwood House, 49 Bowness Road, Grangemouth, followed by the committal at Grand Sable Cemetery, Polmont at 2 p.m. Friends and family are cordially invited to attend. Will be sadly missed. Dixon, Roseanne. Peacefully, after a short illness on the 22nd of October 2024, Roseanne, aged 67 years. Beloved mum, gran, daughter and sister, a dearly loved friend to many, sadly missed by all. And she's from Livingston. Hunter, David Brodie, from Armadale and Terfichen. The family are sad to announce the passing of David Hunter, aged 85 years, on the 22nd of October 2024, peacefully at home, lovingly remembered by his family and all who knew him, forever in our hearts. Malin, Mary, née Gilfeather. Peacefully at Murrayfield Care Home on the 21st of October 2024, beloved wife of the late James, dearly loved mum of Maria, Margaret, James, Lorraine and David, and much loved and loving grandmother and great-grandmother. A funeral mass, to which all family and friends are invited, will be held at St John Cantius and St Nicholas Church, Broxburn, on Monday the 4th of November at 9:30 a.m. Thereafter at Loaning Hill Cemetery, family flowers only please. Martin, Thomas, from Deans in Livingston. Passed peacefully, surrounded by his family after a long illness at Monklands Hospital on the 10th of October 2024. Loving partner, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and dear friend to many. Miller, Agnes Todd. Peacefully at St John's Hospital on Friday the 11th of October 2024, Agnes, aged 99 years. Dearly loved aunt to many, she will be sorely missed. A funeral service will be held at West Lothian Crematorium on Wednesday the 6th of November at 2 p.m. Family flowers only. Shaw, Anne, Livingston. It is with deep sadness that we announce the peaceful passing of Anne Shaw on October the 19th. Anne was the beloved wife of Douglas Shaw, a devoted mother to her daughter Vicky and her son-in-law Robin, and a loving mother to her late son Christopher. She was a treasured grandmother to her grandchildren, Max and Charlotte. Anne will be dearly missed by her family and all who knew her. The funeral will take place at West Lothian Crematorium on Tuesday the 5th of November at 2 p.m. In lieu of flowers, donations can be made in Anne's memory to the MS Society. And that notice brings us to the end of the family announcements for this week, and so we will go on with news from the Courier and Jackie.
Thank you. Delay to Homes plan for historic former hospital. Plans for the future historic buildings at a former West Lothian hospital have been delayed for a month. SNP councillors on the Development Management Committee voted as one, saying they needed more time and more information on the proposals. The proposals cover the largest part of the site, including the former Bangor Hospital buildings, which are to be converted into homes. Asked what specifically he wanted more information on, Councillor Willie Boyle replied, "Everything." Councillors had been given a 9-page summary on decisions taken so far for the massive hospital site near Dechmont, with reference to other documents available in the Council's planning portal. SNP members complained that they had not had enough time to research copious amounts of documents before being asked to make a decision. The papers, as is standard practice, were made available to members of the committee a week before Wednesday morning's meeting. Councillor Willie Boyle told the meeting, "I would like to move that this is continued. We hear the complexities and the amount of work that has gone into this, and yet we are presented with it all in 9 pages and left to rake through the council planning portal. The information required properly for us in the few days that we have had these papers is unacceptable. This needs to be continued, and we need a full appraisal of the information that should be in front of us. I think this is dire. I don't think I have had justifiable time to look at this in detail given the size of this development." Planning Officer Gillian Cyphus acknowledged the size and complexity of the proposals. In her opening remarks, she told the committee, "This is a joint report which covers 6 planning applications, which together covers the construction of 395 houses, 82 flats, and the conversion of 4 listed buildings to form 63 flats, all on the site of the Bangor Village Hospital near Dechmont. The hospital site has an extensive planning history. The most relevant applications are planning permissions in principle, which was granted in June 2022, and the first detailed application, which was granted in July 2023. Councillors visited the site on Monday. The complexity of the proposals is reflected in the need to preserve the listed buildings and their surroundings and in the geography. The land rises steeply from south to north. Mrs. Cyphers said the key issues included design and layout, impact on listed buildings, and impact on trees and ecology. She added, "Balancing all of those things on a site of this scale is very challenging. Officers have spent considerable time studying proposals and negotiating changes with the developer. The developer has engaged with the officers and with Historic Environment Scotland about the impact on the listed buildings and has provided adequate justification for the amendments and demolitions which are proposed." Councillor Pauline Stafford, the Deputy Group Leader, said, "I think we got these papers at the end of last week, and we have really struggled to get through the documents on the planning portal. I don't think I'm in a position to make meaningful contributions to the complexity of this application, so I would really appreciate an extension." Labour councillor Tom Conn said, "I'm a bit concerned if we continue this. We need a definite end, otherwise it just floats around in the ether." Chairing the meeting, Labour councillor Tony Boyle said, "I'm going to move so that we don't delay." Councillor Pauline Clark said, "I think just looking at the planning portal, there is a lot to go through. I have pages of questions I was going to ask, but I think it's much better to have that information in front of us. We would have the hours that we need to wade through this information to make a decision that is the right one."
Article is headed, "Here's your chance to win £25 gift card." Whether you're planning a day out shopping or dining with friends or the family, the Centre Livingston, which is one of Scotland's largest shopping centres, has got you covered. With over 150 great stores to choose from, including M&S, River Island, Flannels, Shoe and Waterstones, and lots of fantastic eateries like Wagamama, Nando's and Stack and Still, there's something for everyone. If you're gift shopping for someone special, why not check out the family-run jewellery company S&S Argento, which was founded over 50 years ago. There's a fantastic selection of watches, necklaces and Joma bracelets for every occasion, from birthdays and weddings to anniversaries and graduations. You'll also find various other beautiful brands such as Nomination Italy, Quado, Orly, Miss D and Little Star. The Centre Livingston is giving one lucky reader the chance to win a £25 gift card, which can be redeemed in over 90 stores and all restaurants. The question is, when was S&S Argento founded? To enter, send your answer to the competition question below to debbie.hall@reachplc.com. plc.com. And there's a rather out-of-focus picture of S&S Argento, and in front of it a poster saying "Shop, Eat and Play."
This article is entitled "Veterans Support Service is to Close" and is written by the staff reporter. NHS Scotland has taken the difficult decision to withdraw joint funding from a service that provides support to veterans in Lothian following a stark financial review. The Health Board has told Veterans First Point Lothian staff and patients that it can no longer provide its share, £214,778, of the total budget required to maintain the service amid the significant financial challenge facing health boards. Veterans First Point Lothian was jointly funded by Scottish Government and NHS Lothian as a one-stop shop, offering support, advice and mental health care for veterans. It is a multi-award-winning service that has provided support to over 2,500 different veterans throughout the last 15 years. By April 2025, the service will cease to exist in its current form, and a significant redesign and move of premises is planned by March 2025. It comes as NHS Lothian is forced to review all services and departments in a bid to make efficiency savings of 7% following the budget allocation made earlier this year. Further reductions in part of the mental health budget of 4.5% means that the Health Board can no longer continue to find its share of this service. Tracy McKigan, Director of Royal Edinburgh Hospital and Associated Services, NHS Lothian, said, "This has been a really difficult decision and we apologise to all of our patients and staff who are affected. We would like to thank the team for their dedication and commitment to supporting our veterans over the years. This is no reflection on the quality of the Veterans First Point Lothian service, but it does serve as a stark reminder of the extremely difficult choices that we are facing every day as we balance the need to provide safe and effective health care while meeting the severe financial challenges affecting Health Board and other public sector organisations. Scottish Government will allocate its 40% share of the funding, and NHS Lothian is currently reviewing the future service provision possible within the remaining budget. However, it does mean that the Veterans First Point Lothian will no longer be able to accept new referrals or commence any new episodes of treatment. Veterans who are impacted by the change are urged to contact the team to discuss alternative support. If veterans feel they need help or support and are not already part of Veterans First Point Lothian, they should contact their GP during the day, and at evenings and weekends they should contact NHS 24 on 111.
Terrifying story of nuclear panic room lost in time. Cold War bunker at council building by Stuart Somerville. As the bleak BBC nuclear drama Threads marks its 40th anniversary, the local Democracy Reporting Service looks at details of West Lothian's response to the terror of the Cold War and the possibility of a nuclear war, including a secret nuclear panic room under the then County Council offices and a terrifying recruitment drive at the local cinema. It is a television drama that has gone down in history as perhaps the most terrifying programme ever created and made by the BBC. Made at a time when the Cold War between USA and Russia was escalating, Threads shocked British audiences with its stark portrayal of a nuclear attack on 1980s Britain and aftermath. While the drama, recently rescreened for its 40th anniversary, has become the stuff of legend, however, the very real, often alarming preparations for a nuclear attack have often been lost. There's very little left now of what was the former West Lothian County Council emergency bunker built in 1935 at the county buildings in Linlithgow. The bomb-proof basement was designated Area Control Room for Civil Defence. It had a separate air filtration system so that in the event of a nuclear explosion, the county administration could continue. In an emergency, They would have housed wireless operators and telephonists to take and pass on messages, and been a base for the scientific subsection which would monitor radiation and fallout. There was also a training centre in Linlithgow. The bunker itself had long been dismantled, lost to time, but remains do remain, and when still kept in the county building until the TAMDL partnership opened in 2018. These include a table of information on radiation doses. The Civil Defence map was also still on display in what was once the information room. This would have allowed damage and emergency services to be plotted. The symbols to be used were severe fire, roadblock, acute hospital, emergency feeding centre, public or communal shelters, underground, and nuclear burst fallout. There was also the nuclear weapons burst board, a blackboard where information on bursts, the term used to describe nuclear blasts, were to be scribbled. Now, these pieces are all part of the Council's vast archive, most of which is never put on public display. Managing the response was the job of the Civil Defence Corps, and they have a very interesting approach to recruitment at the start of the Cold War. Cinema audiences turning out on the spring of 1953 to see War of the Worlds with Jean Barry and Anne Robinson at the Bathgate Regal would have been a little alarmed to be met by volunteers of the local Civil Defence Corps. The volunteers were armed with Geiger counters, a noisy device with a high-pitched squeal which warns of lethal radiation. The Technicolor version of the H.G. Wells story shows the world almost destroyed by Martian invasion force. At a time which had seen the Americans and Russians explode nuclear bombs, launching an arms race which threatened the end of the world, it was a blunt recruitment stunt. How successful it was is unknown, but public believed that a nuclear attack would be survived, waned quickly, and volunteers dried up within a decade. They were only a part of West Lothian's involvement in preparation of Scotland for the nuclear attack, however. Of the 1,563 underground bunkers built throughout the UK, 3 were in West Lothian, including West Calder. These monitoring posts were built to a standard designed with a 14-foot access shaft leading to a concrete room with a chemical toilet and store and a monitoring room. They were designed to hold 3 or 4 people and survive nuclear fallout. Almost half of the monitoring posts were closed down during a restructuring of the Royal Observatory Corps, ROC, in 1968, including a post in Bathgate. Posts in Bo'ness and West Calder operated until the ROC was stood down in 1991. You can see the concrete box that was West Calder's ROC post lying on its side in a field behind the remnants of the Herman Shale Bing. It had been buried and in 1959. The Herman post was part of the ROC's number 24 group, whose headquarters were in a bunker beneath RAF Turnhouse. Each monitoring post consisted of a small room with a reinforced concrete box covered by at least 3 feet of soil and accessed through a 19-foot-long manhole vertical steel ladder. This was to provide some protection against a nuclear blast and reduce exposure to radiation. Little showed above the surface other than the filter equipment to cleanse incoming air and monitoring equipment. At times of threat, the posts were manned by part-time volunteers of the ROC. Each post was equipped with bunk beds, a chemical toilet, and had radiation plaques containing biscuits, steak and kidney pudding, tea, sugar, milk, etc. These would sustain 3 men within contact with the outside world for 3 days. In the event of a nuclear attack, the monitoring post would report levels of radiation and other measurements and readings from the Ground Zero Indicator, GZI. The West Calder post was abandoned in 1991, and up until 2005 it was still possible to climb down into the bunker and survey a scattering of papers and furnishing. A portrait of the Queen still hung on the wall. Further along the A71, RAF Kirknewton also played an important role in the Cold War. In 1949, the Civil Defence Joint Planning Staff recommended the creation of protected control rooms with signal communications at local authority zone, regional and central government levels. One of these regional headquarters, Scottish Eastern Zone, was located in Kirknewton. During the 1950s and 60s, the RAF station was also home to the US Air Force and, by extension, the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, as communications tracking stations focused on Russia and the Eastern Bloc. Kirknewton's Nuclear Command Centre was built in 1953, decommissioned in 1993, and after various other uses, the building was demolished in 2003. Today, West Lothian Council may not have a nuclear panic room, but it still has an emergency planning officer. And along with this piece, there is a mannequin, a full page size mannequin in what looks like an RAF uniform. However, it's the Observation Corps. And it's also a picture of fighting time in history of the centre, the Tamdiel Partnership Centre in West Calder Royal Observatory. It's an interesting piece and has lots of history about it.
We have now come to the end of part 2, and in part 3 there will be the quiz to look forward to. Welcome to part 3, and we will begin with the quiz. Question 1. What is the technical term for loss or impairment of memory? Is it alopecia, anosmia, or amnesia? Question 2. What colour is calamine lotion due to the iron oxide it contains? Is it pink, yellow, or green? Question 3. From which European country does champagne come? Is it Italy, France, or Spain? Question 4. In which European country is the port of Dieppe? Is it France, the Netherlands, or Germany? Question 5. Which adventure story character was Johnny Weissmuller the first to play in a talking movie? Was it Tarzan, Robin Hood, or Mowgli? And question 6. What is the capital of Tasmania? Is it Launceston, Devonport, or Hobart? So, those are the quiz questions for this week, and the answers will be read out in part 4. So now we will continue with the rest of part 3 and more general news from the Courier and Jackie.
Thank you, Joyce. Hard up OAPs set for help at winter, and this is by Stuart Somerville. West Lothian Council is bracing itself for a surge in pleas for help from pensioners after the government's decision to cut the winter fuel payment. The once universal £200 to £300 payment will now be means tested, and campaigners say many who rely on the money to meet higher fuel bills will face difficulties. The council runs its own grant programme to meet winter fuel costs and will launch it next month. While the grant is much lower, it still offers a lifeline for those in the most dire of circumstances. giving out more than £8,000 last year. The Council's Advice Shop service also helped more than 1,000 pensioners secure benefits they had not been claiming. At a recent meeting of the full Council, a debate on a motion critical of the Westminster Government's decision to restrict winter fuel allowance eventually ended with a rare unanimous cross-party composite motion requesting the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, reverse the decision. The motion also backed an advertising campaign to encourage pensioners to ensure the maximum uptake of pension credit is made by West Lothian pensioners, and support is available when applying for such credit. In addition, Council instructs officers to encourage pensioners on low income to seek a benefit check. Winter fuel payments were devolved to the Scottish Government ahead of the national decision to restrict the payments to those on benefits. According to the Scottish Government, this will lead to an investment of approximately £30 million and is anticipated to assist between 110,000 to 130,000 older people in Scotland this year, dependent on pension credit take-up. To qualify now, pensioners must be in receipt of benefits, including pension credit, universal credit, income-related employment and support allowance, that's ESA, income-based job seekers allowance, JSA, income support, working tax credit and child tax credit. A West Lothian Council spokesperson told the Local Democracy Reporting Service, "We do not know how many West Lothian pensioners will be affected by the recent changes to the winter fuel payments. However, there are likely to be pensioners living locally who will no longer receive the payment, and we would encourage anyone struggling to contact the Council's Advice Shop for support." Over the last financial year, 2023/2024, the Advice Shop has assisted 1,360 customers over state pension age with financial gains totalling £8.7 million. Our dedicated pension income maximisation team will be carrying out proactive targeted work out to ensure those over stage pension age are in receipt of their full entitlement. We will also be launching our WLC Fuel Grant programme in November this year, which is a payment of up to £100 to households on low incomes experiencing fuel poverty, subject to resources being available. In the last financial year, we assisted 85 customers over pension age with a fuel grant with payments totalling £8,500, and we anticipate a higher demand this year. To contact the Advice Shop, visit www.westlothian.gov.uk/Advice Shop or call 01506 283000.
This is an article by Stuart Somerville, Donation to Joe Cox Charity. West Lothian Council has agreed to make a £1,000 donation to a charity set up in the name of Joe Cox, the MP who was murdered by an extremist. The charity aims to highlight the need for civility in public life and promote measures to protect those elected to public office from abuse, intimidation and violence. Lib Dem councillor for Linlithgow, Sally Pattle, congratulated the council for supporting the charity and called for a suggested £500 donation to be doubled. Councillor Pattle told fellow members of the council's executive that they had to do everything they could to tackle the growing intolerance in public life. All local authorities have been asked to contribute to the fledgling charity, which has been formed off the back of the Joe Cox Civility Commission. Councillor Pattle told the meeting she was delighted to see the paper coming before councillors and added, "We have all taken the responsibility for representing our communities. That gives us a responsibility to use our language well." We should be paying reference to the fact that if people hear us use derogatory or inflammatory language in this chamber, then those terms will become normalised and we will hear them in our communities. We also run the risk of becoming targets both online and offline abuse. No one can deny the fact that the temperature is rising both in political discourse and beyond. The UK has had riots in the summer, and we can see what's happening now in the US. I think if we're going to attract good candidates to represent us in public life, particularly women, then we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. I think we should be giving more money because the work they are doing is so important and beneficial.
This is another article by Stuart Somerville. Safer walking and cycling routes boost active travel. A new travel plan aims to improve opportunities to walk and cycle in West Lothian. The latest active travel plan aims to get people fitter by encouraging them out of their cars and in turn improve the environment by cutting reliance on motor vehicle use for small journeys by providing safer walking and cycling routes in towns and villages. It also aims to boost use of public transport through development of routes and services. But the Executive Councillor for the Environment has issued a warning that any plans would fail if not adequately funded by Holyrood. Elected members on the Council Executive have given their unanimous support to adopting the 2024 to 2029 Active Travel Plan for West Lothian at their recent meeting. The plan details how the Council, as the Planning and Transport Authority, can deliver improvements to the network that will enable more residents to choose active travel modes that include physical activity. It aims to connect people to the places they want to go by delivering the required infrastructure and culture that makes walking, wheeling and cycling more popular choices for short everyday journeys. These can often link in with public transport routes for longer journeys. The plan provides a framework for identifying the interventions required to deliver a comprehensive and well-connected network of active travel routes in West Lothian going forward. Some parts of the scheme are continuations of work which has already started, developing and improving existing pathways, such as the Foul Shields footpath around the eastern end of Stonyburn and the N75 National Cycle Route, which crosses the country from east to west. SNP Deputy Group Leader Pauline Stafford welcomed the high-level aspirations of the programme. I think this is a great report. It's really welcome that this has come forward. I know there's been some resistance to it. Council budgets under a lot of pressure and a lot of competing priorities. But I think we've all got a duty to make the case that there's a huge opportunity to markedly improve public health. Having a good active travel network would make a big difference to so many aspects of people's lives, from their health and well-being to meeting climate target and meeting planning objectives and tackling inequality. Spend from active travel, far from being a luxury, is one of the most secure investments the government can make. These returns increase over time. Some road building schemes don't make any returns at all. Lib Dem councillor Sally Pattle said, "It's really important for us elected members to get across to communities how much benefit a plan like this can bring to them in the long run." She also urged greater coordination of active travel schemes to make meaningful regional connections. Councillor Tom Conn issued a note of caution on national support for the concept of active travel, citing the lack of action in the Scottish Government's Fair Fares review, which failed to deliver substantial improvements to bus services. He said the Scottish Government need to walk the walk on financing active travel programmes. After the meeting, Councillor Conn, who is Executive Councillor for the Environment and Sustainability, said, "The 2024 to 29 active travel plan for West Lothian is a huge step forward in providing a strategic approach to improving active travel locally. It will take a collaborative effort with local communities, community organisations and other public sector partners and services across the Council all playing their part. By identifying the interventions required to deliver a comprehensive and well-connected network of active travel routes in West Lothian, many benefits for West Lothian residents will be achieved, such as better health and well-being, reduced travel costs and reduced damage to our environment." And there's a picture of Pauline Stafford and Tom Conn alongside the article.
Landmark M8 poppies are back on proud display. Poppy Scotland has decorated the hills overlooking the motorway near Bathgate with its famous poppy images once again this year. Every year, the charity, a member of the British Legion Group, has spray-painted its display on the grass pyramids next to the M8 in West Lothian to raise awareness and push donations in support of the British Armed Forces in Scotland. The poignant images were spray-painted on last week by Jim Dawson and Ben Watt from Scottish Rugby, with Connor Priestley and Paul Banham from Landmark UK ahead of Remembrance Sunday next month. A poppy spokesperson said, "Our trio of giant poppies are back on proud display at the pyramids overlooking the M8 in West Lothian. Huge thanks to the Pyramid Business Park for allowing us to paint on their local pyramids, and to the local farmer for helping us gain access. Another job well done, guys." And this is actually accompanied by a huge picture of the pyramids and 3 huge poppies, and they're about 30-40 foot each with their black centres. And underneath there's a picture of the 2 gentlemen who are from Scottish Rugby spray painting and doing a great job.
Nursing home on care ward shortlist. Delight as Kirk Lane in running for national honour at ceremony. A West Lothian nursing home is in the running for a prestigious national award. Kirk Lane Nursing Home, Livingston, has been shortlisted in the 7th Annual Caring UK Awards, which recognise excellence and achievement within the care sector across the UK. Care Home Service Kirk Lane was a Scottish Care finalist in the 2023, and set in the historic Livingston village is surrounded by the new town of Livingston. The impressive, specially designed home, part of the Randolph Hill Nursing Homes Group, has been completed to an exceptional standard and offers state-of-the-art facilities for round-the-clock professional nursing care. Managing Director Peter McCormick said, "We are thrilled and honoured that Kirk Lane has been selected as a Scottish Care Home of the Year finalist. This recognition reflects our team's dedication to exceptional care." Caring UK Awards event director Dominic Musgrave said, "The Caring UK Awards are now in their 7th year, and with more entries than ever before, our finalists really have reason to celebrate too, as it's a huge achievement to have made the shortlist and is testament to the teams behind each." The awards are organised by Script Events in conjunction with leading care industry magazine Caring UK, with support from headline sponsor Virgin Money. In each category, up to 7 finalists have been selected, and they will now go through to the next stage of the judging process. The winners will be revealed at a glittering awards ceremony at the Athena in Leicester on Thursday, December the 5th, when the industry will gather to salute all that is great about the care sector. And this is accompanied by a lovely picture of members of the care home, and they're all wearing black trousers, and some have got lavender tunics on, some have got aqua coloured tunics, some have got grey-blue ones, and there's some in navy. And they're all smiling, and it looks as though they're standing on a patio overlooking Livingston Village.
Provost Awards recognise unsung community heroes. West Lothian's inspiring local heroes are set to be recognised as nominations for the Provost Awards open. Outstanding groups, volunteers and employees are among those being sought, as the awards recognise the people who make West Lothian a better place to live, work, visit and do business. Provost Cathy Muldoon said, "It is an honour and a privilege to be Provost of West Lothian, and the most gratifying part of this role is being able to meet local people who go above and beyond for their communities, the unsung heroes who dedicate their time to enhance life in West Lothian. That's why I feel it's really important to recognise those who demonstrate unwavering commitment to bettering our communities, whose hard work, selflessness and determination is an inspiration to us all. I appreciate that those who carry out selfless work for their communities are unlikely to nominate themselves, but you may know someone who has volunteered in their community, spends their free time ensuring West Lothian continues to be a great place to stay, or is active in working to improve their town or village. Anyone can be nominated as long as they live, work or attend school or college in West Lothian, and the closing date for nominations will be Friday, January 31st, 2025. For more details or to submit a nomination, please visit www.westlothian.gov.uk/provosts-award.
This article is called Fresh Appeal from MSP over the Future of Bathgate Bank. Linlithgow's MSP is again calling on the Royal Bank of Scotland to reconsider their decision to close their Bathgate branch. RBS announced their intention to close the Bathgate branch effective from the 25th of September. However, this date has now been delayed until the 14th of November. MSP Fiona Hislop said, "The closure of the Royal Bank of Scotland Bathgate branch will be a huge loss to the town. I have repeatedly called on RSB to rethink this closure and was hopeful when the branch was able to remain open past the initial closure date announced by RBS of the 25th of September. I have previously written to RBS to urge them to rethink their decision to close the Bathgate branch, and my position on this closure has not changed, as I appreciate the importance of retaining this branch to provide in-person banking facilities in Bathgate. This is particularly important for elderly and vulnerable customers and local businesses who rely on access to a banking facility in Bathgate. I am again urging RBS to rethink their decision to close the Bathgate branch on November the 14th. We reported earlier this year that Bathgate's RBS branch was at risk of closure after the company announced it would close a fifth of its banks. The bank confirmed that 105 people would be impacted by the closures, as 18 of its 86 local branches across the country shut within months. Some of the jobs lost are expected to be at the Bathgate branch. The bank, owned by NatWest, said 80% of its active current account holders now bank online, and more than 97% of its retail accounts are opened over the internet. The bank said redundancies would be done on a voluntary basis where possible, but otherwise it would seek to support those who lose their jobs. Unite Union has said previously that the news was a massive blow to workers and customers. And there's a wee picture of the branch in Bathgate which sits on the corner near a wee crossroads in Hopetoun Street.
We have now come to the end of part 3, and in part 4 we will tell you the answers to the quiz, and some sports news will be included. Welcome to part 4, and we will complete our recording today with some general news from the Courier and some sports news, but first of all, the answers to the quiz. Question 1 was, what is the technical term for loss or impairment of memory? And that was amnesia. Question 2, what colour is calamine lotion? Oh, I remember it well. It's pink. Question 3. From which European country does champagne come? That is France. Question 4. In which European country is the port of Dieppe? And that's also in France. Question 5. Which adventure story character was Johnny Weissmuller the first to play in a talking movie? And that was Tarzan. And last of all, the capital of Tasmania is Hobart. So, I hope you did well with those answers. And now we will continue with items from the Courier and Kate.
Brock's give their fans a cup trip to remember by Paul Thompson. Stevie Pittman was thrilled to give the Broxburn fans a great day out in the Scottish Cup, and now they can look forward to another one after landing a trip to Stranraer in the third round. Brock's produced a solid performance to see off West of Scotland's Premier Division big guns Auchinleck Talbot in Saturday's second round tie, with a Gary Brass header earning a 1-0 win at Beechwood Park. League 2 opposition now stands in the way of the Lowland League outfit on the weekend of November the 30th, and boss Pittman says it gives their supporters another exciting road trip to savour. He said, "We knew what it was going to be like. We changed our team a bit, but everybody to a man was excellent. It was a good day at the office and a great bus journey home for everyone. It was good for the fans as well. They had a good time and the players went over to show their appreciation at the end. We had 4 or 5 busloads down and we had great support from them. It was a really good day for them, and now they have Stranraer away to look forward to in the next round. Gary has come up with big goals for us in the past, and he's done well again. We've chopped and changed things for a while when he was injured, but I felt in a game like Saturday, which was going to be tough, physically up against some experienced boys, it was the right game for him. All the boys have come up trumps, to be fair, and I'll be really pleased for them. Pittman knows the Blues will pose a tougher test for his side, but says the chance of landing a huge tie if they can reach the 4th round will be a major incentive." He added, "If the tie was at home, I'd have been delighted. Away from home, it will be tough. There are the league above us, and the journey itself down there will be long. But that's what the Scottish Cup is all about. We've got to go down and give it our best shot. We will not show any fear against them, but we will respect them. We want to win the game because you never know what can happen if you get into the next round. You could get Rangers or Celtic, so we will be going into it to the win. Brock's are back in league business this Saturday when they host Berwick. And this is accompanied by several photographs, and it's of Brock's players celebrating their win with fans, and the pictures by Robert McWilliams. And there's a host of fans and the players are all in their red and white tops and their striped red and white socks, and they're cheering and celebrating with each other.
Louis takes Texas by storm with Gold Rush, and this is by Paul Thompson. A Winchborough martial arts school is celebrating this week after welcoming their World Championship winning star back to the club to toast his medal success in the United States. Second-degree black belt Louis Callahan travelled to Galveston, Texas earlier this month to compete in the Cook Zoo One World Championships and returned home with 2 gold medals and 3 silver medals for his efforts. With the Winchborough club just 2 years old, Livingston man Louis was their first representative in this competition, and he certainly made his mark. The 53-year-old competed in the age 29 and over category, with each medal given a points value, and when the points were totalled up, Louis had the most points, winning the accolade of Grand Champion. He competed in 6 categories: empty hand form, sword form, short staff form, sparring, techniques and board breaking. School owner and head instructor Nicola Steedman was thrilled for Louis and said he was given a fantastic welcome home by club youngsters when he returned home. She said, "We are so proud of Louis' achievement. It is an amazing win as he was going up against the younger competitors." Louis returned to a very warm welcome from all of our students. The kids were very excited to see him and keen to ask questions about his experience at the World Championships. He also brought his boxed Grand Champion gold medal and passed it around the kids as he answered all their questions. Many of our students are currently preparing for the UK Championships in Liverpool at the end of November. As part of the instructor team, Louis will be using his experience to help get them ready for the competition, as well as competing himself. He is also providing inspiration by showing what can be achieved with lots of practice and hard work. And there's 2 photographs. One of Louis, it's actually taken in Texas, and is standing after winning with his gold medal around his neck, and is holding the Scottish saltire proudly behind him. And the other picture, of course, is Louis being welcomed back by the club members, and he's in the middle and he's surrounded by all these youngsters, club members of all ages, and holding a great big banner saying, "Congratulations, World Grand Champion 2024.
This article is headed, "Frame Hits Milestone in Win for Reds." Excuse me. Linlithgow Reds had the boot of Jack Frame to thank for eking out a 9-3 win at Greenock Wanderers, with the reliable kicker heading the 1,500 points milestone for the club. Frame kicked all 9 points in a National League 4 game contested in terrible conditions. The Reds had the better of these exchanges and were rewarded when their pack pushed the home forwards back at a rate of knots, and the referee awarded a penalty. Frame duly sent the ball between the posts. The home side then had a short period of pressure, but the Reds defended stoutly and were able to clear their lines comfortably. The visitors extended their lead with another Frame penalty to keep the scoreboard ticking over in what was obviously heading to be a low-scoring game, and half-time arrived with the Reds 6-0 to the good. Callum McEwen came on as replacement at half-time, just as the heavy rain arrived and both teams were setting in for a dour struggle in the second half. Frame narrowly missing a long-distance penalty attempt, but quickly made amends by converting another after a great scrummage effort by the pack resulted in the referee awarding the penalty. With the score at 0-9, the visitors were in control and not under huge pressure. However, there was still a chance that the home side might find an opportunity to score. At this stage, Cammy Murray came off the bench, as did Alfie Muir, who was making his first 15 debut. Alfie showed almost immediately that he was ready for this challenge by winning an important turnover ball and putting in solid defensive work to help keep the Greenock team pinned in their own half. However, Greenock did finally make it onto the scoreboard with a long-range penalty to make the score 3-9 with only 5 minutes to play and take the home side to within a converted try of an unlikely victory. There was notable tension within the crowd as the game was so close, but the remaining time was played out with no major dramas. Luke O'Hara applied the finishing touch when winning a turnover in the last move of the game, and the Reds completed a well-deserved win. Jamie Tulloch was again the pick of the players on show, with yet another huge effort on the day as he celebrated his 50th appearance. This week there is a break from league business with the Reds going Division 2 last Wade in the National League Cup. This game is the first of the 2 p.m. kick-offs after the recent clock change. And there's a photo of Jack Frame, both feet off the ground in full flight, kicking a rugby ball. The picture is by Graham Black.
This article is called Rose Set to Face Rovers. Lithgow Rose have been rewarded for their Scottish Cup second round win over Clachnacudden with a home clash against Championship side Raith Rovers. Gordon Herd's men had a comfortable win on Saturday against the Highland League outfit with goals from Greg Kinner, Dylan Patterson and Harry McMartin, earning their place in round 3 in what was Herd's 100th competition game in charge of Rose. Speaking after the win, which came before the draw was made, Herd said, it was thoroughly deserved, and I thought to a man we were outstanding. When we got the second goal, it calmed the nerves and allowed us to go and play. The work rate was outstanding, and I couldn't ask more from the lads. We'll take anyone at home in the next round. We want to go as far as we can in this competition. The big games keep on coming for the club as they now host East Kilbride on Lowland League duty this Saturday. Herd added, they are a good side and Mick Kennedy, the EK boss, has got them playing good football. It is set up for a cracker and we are looking forward to it.
This item is from the West Lothian Council Bulletin. It's entitled Think Local, Shop Local this festive season. West Lothian residents are being encouraged to think local and back their local businesses over the upcoming festive period. Local shoppers are being asked to support small and independent business, such as those that can be found in West Lothian's traditional town centres of Armadale, Bathgate, Broxwan and Uphall, Linlithgow and Whitburn. Small Business Saturday takes place on Saturday the 7th of December 2024, the first Saturday in December. Now in its 12th year in the UK, the campaign has grown significantly year on year, encouraging millions to shop small and have lasting impact on your local small businesses.
History of the Co-op. If you can remember the days of counting up your divvy for Christmas, then a trip down memory lane awaits you in Livingston next week. As the plan forges ahead to celebrate the county and, more importantly, West Calder's role in the development of the Co-op in Scotland, a special mini exhibition will be opened with tea and cake next week. The Wee Museum of Memory in West Lothian in Ammonvale Centre is holding an afternoon of tea, cake and chat on Thursday, November the 7th, between noon and 4 p.m. The event is part of the mini-exhibition on the cooperative, which has been put together by the Scottish Cooperative Discovery Centre, a new museum to be built in West Calder that will tell the story of Scotland's cooperatives. Susan Gillanders from the West Calder and Harburn Community Development Trust put the finishing touches to the display. Come along and have a cup of tea and share your memories of the Co-op. As well as hearing your stories, the team would also love to see any heritage items you have relating to the Co-op. So bring them along. The project is funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund.
Nominate your disability hero. The Scope charity has launched its third Scope Awards, inviting the public to nominate people and groups across the West Lothian who are working to create an equal future with disabled people. The Disability Equality Charity is asking the people in your community to think about anyone raising awareness of disability or working to change attitudes as a potential nominee for Purple Pioneer. Just one of the award's 9 categories. This year's Purple Pioneer winner was Zahira Brimacombe, an NHS trainee clinical coder from Somerset, for the work they've done inside and outside the workplace championing disabled people locally. The Scope Awards celebrate the achievements of individuals, community groups, businesses, media, celebrities and social media influencers, equality champions who are paving the way in championing the disability equality, challenging attitudes and bringing about social change. There are 16 million disabled people in the UK, many of whom are not treated equally in society. Scope research has found that 3 in 4 disabled people have experienced negative attitudes and behaviour from others. The Scope Awards will shine a spotlight on those at the forefront of campaigning relentlessly for change. This event will mark the charity's third awards, with last year's ceremony hosted by Kadina Cox OBE and honoured a host of disabled pioneers, campaigners and entrepreneurs. The ceremony was attended by high-profile disabled figures like Ellie Simmons, Molly Pearce and Fats Timbo. The public will have until November 19th, 2024 to submit nominations at www.scope, that's scope.org.uk/awards.
Funding on offer to help businesses grow. Are you ready to grow your team? With the Business Gateway West Lothian's popular Employer Recruitment Incentive, ERI, you could be eligible for funding to cover 50% of your new employee's salary based on the employee receiving at least the real living wage for a maximum of 40 hours per week up to 26 weeks. To qualify, your new employee must be a West Lothian resident, employed for 16 to 40 hours per week, paid at least the real living wage or currently unemployed or underemployed, for example, on a 0 hours contract. This exciting opportunity is open to eligible businesses and third sector organisations, including social enterprises, that are based in West Lothian and have fewer than 250 employees. Anchor organisations, for example, educational institutions, healthcare institutions, etc., currently operating in West Lothian are also welcome to apply. A spokesperson said, West Lothian Council's Economic Development Service is committed to supporting local businesses and creating sustainable employment opportunities through the Employer Recruitment Incentive, ERI. To find out more, visit https://www.investinwestlothian.com/business-support or email invest@westlothian.gov.uk.
This is an article by Debbie Hall. It's called 140 Seasonal Jobs Are Up for Grabs at Yodel. Delivery company Yodel has announced its hiring for over 140 seasonal roles in Livingston, including 86 couriers and 57 warehouse roles in preparation for the busy Black Friday and Christmas shopping peak times. These openings form part of Yodel's UK-wide recruitment drive, with the carrier creating 3,000 additional roles nationwide. Yodel's new roles in Livingston will be ideal for those looking to bring in some extra income in the run-up to Christmas. These new roles provide a flexible working environment, with couriers able to scale deliveries around their existing schedules. There is also potential for temporary roles to become permanent in the long term. Yodel expects to handle up to 53% more parcels over the next 3 months as consumers ramp up spending ahead of the festive season. The parcel carrier has already seen significant growth in parcel volumes this year, supported by multiple new contract wins and renewals across with some of the UK's biggest retailers, as well as strong growth of its consumer-to-consumer deliveries, with volumes up 200% in the last 2 years. This latest recruitment drive follows Yodel's own new partnership with OnsiPay, which will give greater financial flexibility to new couriers joining the business. The collaboration will enable couriers to access a portion of their earnings the next day without waiting for the end of their pay cycle. Users can access up to £200 per withdrawal, with money transferred to their account within minutes. The initiative provides greater financial freedom and transparency, offering couriers more control over their money, giving them the option to keep track of their estimated daily earnings through the Onsi app. The next day payment benefits is in addition to discounts on everyday expenses and fuel card packages, which Yodel provides through its partnerships with the Retail Trust and the Happy app. Mike Cannock's CEO of Yodel said, "As we head into the busiest time of year for retailers, we are expanding our workforce to meet the boom in demand."
Story, a wee walk down memory lane, perhaps. And this is by Janet Tansley, and she is the Family Time correspondent. And it's headed, How to Be a Big Hit at Conkers. She goes on, "We can't promise the intrigue and drama of the recent Conker World Championships, when men's winner David Jenkins was accused of cheating and subsequently cleared. But we can promise you an exciting game that is virtually free and always loads of fun. The Autumnal Classic was first recorded on the Isle of Wight in 1848, and since then generations have awaited Conker season so they can hunt for worthy contenders to take into battle. Danielle Wesley from the Woodland Trust Conservation Charity says, Conkers ripen in autumn and fall to the ground during September and October. You can look for them scattered around the base of horse chestnut trees, and the prickly outer cases will often burst open, revealing the shiny brown seeds inside. If you're collecting for a game of Conkers, Danielle has a few words of advice. It's best to gather ripe ones from the ground. Conkers will still attached to trees might not be ready and could still be soft in the middle. To be a Conker champion, you'll need a nut that's tough to crack. Look for freshly fallen Conkers that don't have splits, dents or soft spots. The harder and the rounder, the better. And she adds, to check for duds, place your Conkers in a bowl of water. The best ones will sink, showing they're solid and firm. Now we go on to how to play the rules of the game. With an adult's help, make a hole through the middle of each Conker and thread a 50-centimetre piece of string through, knotting it so they don't fall off. Wrap the string around your hand twice, leaving about 25 centimetres of string between your hand and the Conker. One player dangles their Conker at arm's length, keeping it still. The striker holds the string of their own Conker and takes a swing at their opponent's to try and hit it. If the attacking player misses, They have 2 more chances before it's their opponent's turn to strike. Take turns until one of the conkers smashes and you have a winner. So there we are, all about how to be a big hit at conkers, and good luck to everyone.
And on that seasonal note, we have come to the end of our broadcast for this week and hope that you found it enjoyable and informative. Please put your memory stick back into the blue wallet, change the address label and pop it into the postbox. Remember that our wallets should only be posted in a postbox and not taken to a post office. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and very best wishes from Team 4.